Okay, here is your 5-4 assignment. So we are on page 260 and we're working through these questions. So the first one is question number 4, and 4 and 6 apply to the same diagram, which is right here. Hard to see, so again, make sure you're looking at the diagram on page 260. And it's basically saying that if segment AB, right here, is congruent to segment EB, right here, then which angles are congruent to each other? I know the diagram doesn't look that accurate. You're probably thinking, well, how can such a short side length be the same as this side length? In this chapter, it's important to recognize specifically that the diagram isn't always accurate. You're just supposed to rely on your geometry knowledge to help you determine which angles are congruent. If these two sides are congruent, then it's exactly like we talked about when we were going through the lesson. This is an isosceles triangle, so these two angles are going to be congruent. These would be your base angles, and that would be your vertex angle. Okay, go back and review the chapter if you don't understand that. Same diagram, angle EBC, so sorry, ignore the congruent marks. So angle EBC is congruent to angle ECB. Again, sorry for the dying exclamation marker. Then which two side lengths are going to be congruent? Well, if these two angles are congruent, that's the converse of the base angles theorem. We have to know that these two side lengths are going to be congruent as well. Okay, so moving on to question number 10, it gives you a diagram and it tells you to solve for x. So if you know that each of the side lengths are 5, it is a what kind of triangle? Equilateral. So that means that all of the angles are going to be congruent. Okay, and we know that all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so if we think about it, 3x, there's going to be another 3x here because all the angles are congruent. 3x, 3x. All of those added up to each other are going to equal 180. So that's how you can solve for x. Okay? I'll leave you to do that. 16, another diagram, a little more complex. Again, I know it's hard to see, I'm sorry, so just make sure you look in your textbook. You know that these two angles are congruent, and it gives us this middle side length is 3x minus 5. And it gives us that this bottom side length right here is y plus 12. Okay, so knowing this, since these two angles are congruent, we have to know that these two side lengths are going to be congruent. So you can set y plus 12 equals 3x minus 5. Obviously, we can't solve that because we have two separate variables, x and y, so that should be a hint that you're going to have to write a system. So then we look at the other part of the diagram, and we know that all of these three angles are the same, so it has to be an equilateral triangle, so we know that each side length is going to be this 5y minus 4. Since these two polygons share the same side length right here, we know that this length is both 5y minus 4, and it's 3x minus 5. So that's how you get your next equation, which is 3x minus 5 equals 5y minus 4. Solve that system. That should give you x and y. That's your answer for 16. Your last question is, 24 here. It's like a picture of a billiard triangle, like pool, you know? And it's kind of hard to see, but it tells you that these three angles are congruent, and it gives you side lengths. Very important. If these three angles are congruent, all of these side lengths are going to be the exact same thing. So to find each x, which is going to be the same, you set like x plus 5 equal to 2x minus 3, or you can do 21 minus x equals 2x minus 3, whatever you want, but you find x. It's important to recognize that in this question, it's actually asking you to find the perimeter of the triangle. It's not asking for x. So think about how you need to plug your answer for x in to answer the question. Last one, number 30, it says, is it possible for an equilateral triangle to have an angle measure other than 60? Okay, well, if equilateral triangles each have to be the same, and they all have to add up to 180, can it be anything other than 60? No, it can't. Okay, so that's your assignment. Yep, that's it.